Spring Instant Pot Vegan Risotto. No. Spring Vegan Risotto in the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
Spring Vegan Risotto. Hi, it's Beth from Past the Plants, and today we're going to make vegan spring risotto in the Instant Pot. Let's get started. Okay, so spring is all about the asparagus. Asparagus just screams spring to me. When I see those in the store or at the farmer's market, I just like, spring is here, so it's super excited. So to make this Instant Pot risotto, we don't want to put the asparagus in with the rice to cook because it will get overcooked and mushy. So we're going to cook that first really quick in the Instant Pot, and then we'll set that aside and cook the rest of the risotto and add it in at the end. So with your Instant Pot, go ahead and set it to saute. We'll get that going. And then you can use oil, but for this, because we're just trying to get the asparagus cooked a little bit, we don't really need oil. This lovely sound lets you know it's on. So we'll go ahead and just put the water in there to start getting warmed up while we chop the asparagus. There's a little trick to avoiding the tough ends of asparagus, which is to kind of stand them all up like little soldiers, asparagus soldiers, and then take one and snap it. Wherever it snaps, that's your guide to where you can cut the rest of them. So now I can just kind of take my knife and cut all the way through. If you want to, you can snap each one of them individually so you know you found the perfect snap point. That's up to you, you go for it. But for these, we're just going to kind of cut them a little bit of an angle, just so they look a little bit prettier. So we're just gonna add this in, and all we're gonna do is just cook it to kind of get the edge off of it, so it's just slightly cooked, kind of bright green. So now the water is just kind of simmering, so we're just gonna do a quick little stir here. You really only need a minute or two on this, and you don't want to take it too far because it can go overcooked really fast, and then you won't have that bright springy green asparagus color that you want. So I think we're done. Turn that off, out, and then we'll just toss the whole thing right here in the bowl. So see how nice and bright and green that is? Next step is we're going to saute some onions and then add our sliced mushrooms and then the risotto. So that's the order of this. We got our little onion here. Kind of cut it across lengthways here. And then go across again. Well, you don't need a super fine dice, but you don't want big, huge onion chunks in your risotto either. If you want to use a little bit of oil at this stage, you can. You can also make this completely oil-free by adding some more water. I think a little bit of olive oil adds just a nice little bit of flavor, but you don't need a ton. This is like barely even a teaspoon. The saute function on the Instant Pot, it has like a high and a low, but both of them are pretty hot. So just keep that in mind, that you definitely want to stir frequently, because you don't want to burn whatever you're sauteing. That's not sauteing, that's burning. It smells awesome in here already, just with that little bit of onion going. We're just going to saute this for about 3 to 5 minutes until it's softened. It will cook a little bit more when we have the risotto under pressure. Okay, while this is sauteing, we'll slice up the mushrooms. So you want an 8-ounce package of mushrooms. I really love to use these cremini, or you might see them as baby bella. So they're kind of like the miniature version of a portobello mushroom. And we'll just take off the little ends here. If you like your mushrooms to be really meaty pieces, go ahead and go for a bigger slice, thicker slice, but it's totally up to you. All right, we have our sliced mushrooms. Our onions are looking good. So we'll scoop these up and get those sauteing. Okay, so with these, you're just going to cook the mushrooms until they get a little bit of color on them and all of their liquid has been released. You're going to use arborio rice, which is the traditional rice that you would use for risotto. You can really actually use any short grain white rice though. Get some of those starch granules released. So we just kind of want to toast it up in the residual onion mushroom liquid. Looking good here. We're starting to see a little sticking, and that's about the right time to add the vegetable stock. You can use any vegetable broth you want. It doesn't have to be from that Better Than Bland. If you out of a box, I don't care. Do you? Okay, and the last thing that you want to do is add the chickpeas that have been drained from their can. And you might think that these are going to get overcooked, but actually the small cooking time, you know how canned chickpeas can be really kind of hard just straight out of the can? This really softens them up super nicely so you don't get a big bite of hard chickpea. It's really nice and soft and it almost kind of melts in your mouth once it gets cooked down in here. So we're gonna turn the lid. It does that little doodly. I love it. Okay, set it to sealing. It's not venting, otherwise it won't come to pressure. And then you're gonna do manual pressure and change the time down to 5 minutes. And then it will take a few minutes to come to pressure, and then the 5-minute clock will start. So this will probably take about 15 minutes. Okay, be back in a few minutes, check on this. Okay, so the Instant Pot has finished cooking, so now comes the kind of part that everyone gets a little bit scared about, but it's not a big deal. We're just gonna release the pressure with this sealing valve. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, the valve has dropped down, so now it's safe to open the lid. That little ding-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, look at that. Okay, so you can just see before you've even stirred it or anything that the rice is perfectly nice and plump. It doesn't look creamy yet, so don't worry, it's going to as soon as we stir it up a little bit. This is an optional thing, but one really great way to kind of boost the flavor a little bit and the creaminess is to add just a 1/4 cup of my savory cashew cream recipe, and you can find that linked in the description. But it just adds that little bit, kind of gives it that like cheesy flavor that you might get from getting Parmesan in a traditional risotto. So we'll just go ahead and add that in, but you don't have to. I've made it both ways and it tastes great either way. Okay, so now as you stir it, it's just obviously coming together. It's just so good. It smells so good. And that's a big, huge reason why we cook the asparagus separately, because we really don't want to lose that bright green, crisp flavor. But now is the time to go ahead and add it in. And I will save just a few out for a little decoration on the top. Okay. Alrighty. To the side, we'll just mix that on in there. Ooh, hot. Careful. Don't be like me. Use a heating or a oven pad or whatever that thing is called. So now, we'll dish up a little plate of this stuff. Bowl. This is a huge bowl, so I'm not gonna fill it up. It just makes it look a little decorative. It's so creamy and good. It's gonna be hot, so I gotta let it cool down just a little bit. And we'll just put a few little pieces of asparagus right there on top. This is the perfect spring risotto. Made vegan, made in the Instant Pot. I hope you'll make it. Give me a shout out in the comments and let me know if you have any questions or if you make it. I would love to hear from you. Happy spring, everybody.